Okay, good. So, welcome everyone to this, our first Zoom-enabled meditation discussion. We've got friends from all over the country joining in, which is great. We're going to jump right into the meditation in just a moment. And then afterward, we'll be talking. Obviously, we are in a very interesting time. Some very different stuff going on, different challenges going on. And we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about how our practice and our insight that we've been developing for all these days or months or decades in some cases, how that it can be helpful to this moment. And in a way, I think you'll see that this moment is what we've been practicing for. Okay, so I know some of you are meditating with me for the first time, so the very first thing I want to say about that is start from zero. And what I mean by that is that any preconceptions that you have about meditation, any expectations, anything that you've read about it or surmised about it, anything that you've experienced or done before as meditation, great, but for now, just put all that aside. Don't do anything that I don't tell you to do, and I'm not going to tell you much, because what we're doing is just stupid simple, as the great masters put it. It's stupid simple. So if you find yourself wondering, gee, am I supposed to be breathing like this, or am I supposed to be sitting like this, or am I supposed to be experiencing that? If I haven't told you that that's supposed to happen, it doesn't have to happen. Forget about it. Just start at zero. Okay? Okay? We're good? Good. So please sit comfortably. Sit up comfortably. Very simple instruction. And let's start with a nice, full, deep inhale. Really feel like starting at the bottom, you're filling up your whole body with the air from the bottom of your spine up to the very top of your skull, just filling up the tank. And then kind of suspending, just holding that fullness for a moment, and then open the mouth and let it out with a deep sigh. Ah. And once again, starting at the bottom, just filling from the bottom of the spine, the base, filling all the way up. Just, oh boy, we get to do this because we're alive. We get to fill up with air. And then suspend, just really feel that fullness, open the mouth and sigh. Ah. And one more. Ah. Okay. Now we just continue to sit comfortably with the eyes closed. And please notice that to be sitting doesn't take any work. Notice how the couch or the bed or the floor or the chair, whatever you're sitting on, please notice how it holds all of your weight. So considerate of your chair to hold all your weight for you. So there's no work for you to do. You don't have to hold 1 pound, 1 ounce of that weight. So you can just let all that weight go into the chair. or the bed, whatever you're sitting on. So physically, we're on vacation, completely unemployed. You can also notice how the breath takes care of itself, how considerate the breath is. Ever since that first breath that you drew on the day you were born, breathing has been happening without your having to think about it. So we're completely unemployed with regard to the breath. Also, you can notice how the senses continue to work all by themselves, as they've been doing moment by moment throughout our lives. So you can hear this voice. You can feel the air against your hands and your face. Perhaps inner sensations of being cool or warm, tight or loose. Maybe we've noticed things like that. Maybe we don't notice them, doesn't matter. But whatever is noticed, whatever's felt or heard or seen, the vague colors dancing behind our eyelids, whatever is experienced by the senses happens also without effort. So we're completely unemployed with regard to the senses. So notice I'm not giving you anything to do. We're just noticing what's already happening. Absolutely regular, ordinary, everyday experiencing. We're just perhaps noticing it a little more clearly than usual. And we're resting in it. We're, for once, not trying to do anything about it. Just resting right in the middle of all this effortlessness, all this non-employment. We might also notice that all of our experiencing takes place in the present moment. We never experience anything even 1 second in the future or 1 second in the past. We might happen to think about something we anticipate in the future, or we might think about something we remember from the past. But we're experiencing our thoughts about that, and those thoughts are happening in the present. And in the same way, any sensations that we feel, any sounds that we hear, it's all happening in the present, in the moment. The present moment is the only moment. Present moment after present moment, our experience unfolds effortlessly. Sort of like water bubbling up in a fountain, always fresh, always unpredictable. always nothing for us to do about it. So part of what bubbles up here is thinking. And we can notice that thoughts also arise naturally and spontaneously, moment to moment, just like sounds or sensations. There's nothing special about thoughts. Just another something bubbling up in the moment. So we're completely unemployed with respect to thinking. We're not in charge of starting the thoughts or stopping the thoughts any more than we are in charge of starting or stopping the sounds or sensations. It all happens by itself. We're just resting in the middle of it. And just as it doesn't matter what sounds we hear, is it a car passing in the street? Is it a plane going overhead? Doesn't matter. And in the same way, it doesn't matter what the thoughts might be about. Important thoughts or trivial thoughts, so-called good thoughts, so-called bad thoughts, doesn't matter. It's just like different colors or sounds. Just stuff coming and going. And as the stuff comes and goes like that, all by itself, we might notice that it's sort of like breezes coming and going in the open sky. In this case, the open sky, the open space of our own awareness. And just as space or sky has room for every kind of breeze and doesn't favor this kind of breeze over that kind of breeze, in the same way, awareness, this open space of awareness, doesn't discriminate. It's just boundless space open to whatever comes and goes within it. So really we're resting as this open space of awareness. We are that space, actually. We are the host within which everything else comes and goes effortlessly. Just noticing that. We're just resting in that pre-existing situation. Just letting it all happen as it happens. And not putting our primary attention on this or that thing that comes and goes, but resting with our primary attention in this open space, this open sky of awareness. And whatever's passing through it, great, passing through it. Doesn't much matter. And as the different thoughts, sounds, and sensations come and go like little breezes in the open space of awareness, we can notice that they come and go not only effortlessly, but frictionlessly. Nothing dents the sky. Whether it's a little breeze or even a tornado, nothing damages the sky. So we don't have to worry, oh, this is an intense storm of thoughts, or this is a negative feeling, or it doesn't matter. Feelings that come and go, happy feeling, sad feeling, just more breezes. Doesn't matter what kind of breeze it is. Just remain as the space, just remain as the sky. Just rest as awareness. Open, free, space-like. With room for everything. Not trying to include or exclude anything. Sometimes you might feel that you're struggling with something, or hanging on to something, or resisting something, whether it's a thought, a feeling, a sound, whatever. That's normal. And when that happens, just relax your grip on it. That's all. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to get rid of it. Just relax your grip on whatever you've been struggling with, wrestling with. Relax your grip on it and relax back into yourself. Relax back into this open, free, space-like awareness, which we are. It's open, free, empty, just like space, even when it's full of stuff. It's essentially empty. You can notice that awareness never loses its quality of just sublime emptiness, even when it's full of stuff, which is why we never have to get rid of anything or add anything. And just rest in this open space of awareness in the moment as it is. For the sky, nothing is ever too much. Nothing is ever lacking. Just resting in our own sublime emptiness. Now keep your eyes closed and take a few minutes to just very gently start bringing the body back to a more active state. Maybe start by wiggling your toes, your fingers. Get the blood starting to circulate again. And then you might feel like shifting your position around, maybe stretching, twisting, stretching your limbs. Just very gently bringing the body back to a more active state, kind of like waking up from a nap. And after a couple of minutes like this, when you feel ready, you can just slowly open the eyes. It's always good to take your time coming out. Okay, how are people doing? Thumbs up, thumbs down, shrug. Okay, getting some thumbs up icons. I love that. Good. Okay, now I need to see, there is a way that people can raise their hand when they want to talk. Madge, do you know how that's done? Can you explain it to me?
Or just unmute.
One second. Okay.
Yeah.
There, on the bottom, there's an icon to raise hand, but I don't see it here.
Yeah, I don't see it here either. I've seen it before, and now I can't find it. Is anyone finding the?
Or just unmute when you want to ask something.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Mine has a menu that says more. When I press on that and you're the thumbs up and the clapping, it says raise hand. If I just hit that. Is my hand raised?
Oh yeah, there, Todd. Yeah, Todd. It's under
participants.
Under participants.
Yes,
okay.
You go down to go to participants, and then you can choose the hands.
Okay, good. Okay, so so the people that raise their hands to show me how it's done, you can lower your hands. Okay, thank you for bearing with me, because this is my first time hosting one of these. I've been just the last few days just really first getting to start to play with this. So now some people who really want to raise their hands and ask about the meditation. I want to talk about the meditation first, and then we'll go on to life in the time of virus. So questions about meditation. Okay, Esther, I'm going to unmute you because your hand is up. You have a question? Wait, hold on. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Basically, I was going to tell you, because I do that strip as well, and it's where it says more. There's a lot of stuff there that you can use. That
Right.
was just terrific. I loved it.
Good.
That was great, really.
Okay. Yeah.
It was one of the first times that I really felt that expansion, as if I was in the sky, like,
Yeah.
and put it around me. I was in the sky myself.
Yeah. 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 Now, so other people felt, you know, sometimes it feels just very kind of dramatic in the way Esther just described it. Oh, just wonderful. I really felt like I was in the sky. Sometimes, very often, it just kind of more vaguely, yeah, it was kind of relaxing. It was, you know, not quite sure what happened, but yeah, it was easy, and I kind of feel a little bit mellowed out. So, but in general, it's usually something in that direction.
That too.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
whole gamut of things.
Right.
And then you just let it go. And I saw myself as in this, and then anything that came and went was, as you said, space is so big that it was
Yes.
inconsequential. It didn't matter how many pieces were
Right.
floating around.
Right.
That was very strong, enlightening, in fact, and
Yep.
power-making. It makes you powerful.
Yeah.
Because you know that you don't have to be subjected to anything by the bombardment of the thoughts that come and go as they usually do, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. That you put that so beautifully, Esther. I mean, this is really how the experience of meditation is, as you say, it's enlightening. As we get more and more clear by just marinating in that experience of the nature of our own awareness being like open space, then we find that whatever comes and goes does not affect what we are. The stuff comes and goes, sounds come and go, thoughts come and go, emotions come and go. There may be emotions of happiness, emotions of sadness, emotions of depression, emotions of agitation. So to say we're not affected by the bombardment, as you just said, doesn't mean that emotions don't arise and that, oh, to be enlightened, to be Buddha-like, I have to suppress my emotions. No, what it means is that the emotions also are part of what comes and goes, but they are not us.
That's empowering in a way,
Yeah.
because it tells you that's fine. Then nothing can actually assail me from all sides and kind of bring me down into that thinking thing that happens in the middle of the night.
Yeah. The middle of the night, middle of the day, middle of the whenever it's whatever comes, whatever goes, and there's one thing that does not come and go, and one thing that does not change, and one thing that's not high or low or agitated or anything, and that's like space. We can call it beingness, we can call it awareness, we can call it I with a capital I. We can, doesn't matter what we call it. What's important is the experience of it. And sometimes we get it, as I said, we're, kind of dimly aware of it. Sometimes the clarity is very crisp that, oh yeah, this is really what I am. And everything comes and goes within it super fluidly.
It was expanding.
Yeah.
I felt it was expanding.
Yeah. So, and so I have one other question for you, Esther, which is, in order for all this to be experienced in this way, what did you actually do?
I've been studying this my whole life, but I've never really meditated. I've never done it.
Aha. So it's not about studying. It's not
No,
about studying. It's about doing it. But now when we say doing it, what actually,
but it's not unlike, look, I do three things as you do, you know, which are meditations on their own. One is I'm a musician, piano, I'm
Mhm,
knocked out. I'm a
mhm,
painter, so when I'm painting, I can go into another world entirely.
right?
And when I'm writing, because I'm a writer,
Mhm,
as you know, so when I'm writing or anything, if the phone rings or there's a noise, I can jump out of my skin. So I know
mhm,
that I'm really deeply in some other
right. Yeah,
area.
yeah. Because
So
it's so, it's so natural
and
to, it's
the
so natural to be settled into what we are that it can come up. You know, we have this big word meditation when we
yeah,
sit and have it happen in the context of nothing in particular, but it can also happen in the context of, you know, walking on the beach, weeding the garden, as you
those
say, playing music.
those are meditations.
Right.
Those are, they're wonderful.
Good.
So
So,
I got that same feeling here as well, but I wasn't doing any writing or reading or whatever it is that takes me to that place.
right,
And I
right.
live in a very noisy spot on the corner of Ventura Boulevard. There's a
Right. I
I
I
really
know
was
that boulevard well.
thing. I heard I have affirmations that I've used my whole life and
Mhm,
changed them over periods.
right,
I started having those affirmations coming to me suddenly in the middle of it.
right, and that doesn't matter. Okay,
That was good.
let me, and so that's fine. But good, you raise another important point, and then I want to get some other people into the conversation here. So sometimes things will come up, and it'll say, this is this affirmation, let's say, that has been very meaningful to me before. There's a story that when the Buddha was sitting under the tree in his marathon 49 day and night meditation that resulted in his final awakening, complete realization. And it said that right near that when he finally awoke, when he finally, you know, the just and when we say he finally awoke, he finally became enlightened, all that means is that he experienced clearly exactly what you're describing, but kind of, you know, just all the way so that it's irreversible. It doesn't go away. So that we're completely experiencing the space-like, boundless, untouched nature of what we are 24/7. And when that happened, it's said that he remembered, wait a minute, I've been here before. That time, one warm summer day when I was a kid, I was sitting under another tree. I was sitting under a rose apple tree. And I was watching my dad supervise the workers plowing the fields and just watching the plows going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and sitting there. And I just settled into this place. Oh, yeah. And that was before I ever heard anything about meditation or enlightenment. So that for him was the corroboration of the naturalness of it,
Right.
the naturalness of it. So so let me get other people in the conversation. Other questions or comments about the meditation itself? Okay, Todd. Yeah, Todd.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to say it was the first time I've been still and had some peace in the
Mhm.
last few days. It was really good for me. It's been very hard to practice the last couple of days.
Uh-huh.
And man, I needed it, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. No, yeah, we all need it. You know, it's I think
sometimes I need your lullaby.
yeah, yeah. I've been told more than once that my voice has a tendency to put people to sleep.
Too bad you can't mute us all. You couldn't mute us all when we were in high school.
Yeah, Todd there, by the way, what he was referring to is Todd was one of my very first students when I was teaching at the Pingree School. And what year did you graduate, Todd?
I was at class of 80,
Class of 80.
1980.
What? Yep, thank you. Yeah,
Way back.
way back. God, I must be about 200 by now. Yeah. So, and I think I may have mentioned this in a newsletter that I sent out, that in times that are stressful or challenging, there's often a sense of, oh, well, I can't meditate now. I'm too stressed. I can't settle down now. I have to wait for the atmosphere to become more settled. But that's exactly backwards. This is really, as Todd is saying, this is exactly the time when we need this. Really, we always need it. Really, you know, you want to do the fire drill when there's no fire, when things are nice and peaceful, but then also when there's a fire, it's really good to know how to know the drill. And the drill is sit down, shut up, close your eyes, and then what? Because we still haven't definitively answered the question I was putting before to Esther. What actually are we doing that causes this settling down into the experience of the space-like expansive nature of awareness? What actually are we doing? And I want to call on Yafa. Yafa L, I know you know the answer. What's the answer, honey?
Nothing.
Nothing. Those of you any of you who don't know Yafa, that's my wife.
Hi.
That she's the one who's responsible for anything that happening. She's in the other room. She's in the other end of the house. But yes, nothing. We didn't this experience of the inherently empty, the sublimely empty nature of our awareness, the space-like nature of our awareness, this untouched, frictionless nature of our awareness, happens not by concentrating, not by imagining, not by focusing on something, not by pushing anything out, not by holding on to anything. It happens by just noticing what's already going on, just lightly noticing, not, oh, I got to be mindful. Oh yeah, I got to be mindful of all the thought. You know, that there's this big misunderstanding about mindfulness, which you'll notice there's a word that I almost never use, because people very often misunderstand, oh, I got to be mindful. I got to be paying attention to every thought and paying attention to every sound, and you know, like a paranoid security camera or something, sort of a fisheye lens. But it's so much more natural and easy than that. It's just a matter of noticing, oh, okay, am I aware? Here's a question for you. Pop quiz, kids. Are you aware? Anyone that's not aware, raise your hand. Yeah. Curry, you're a joker. Okay. So if you heard me ask the question, obviously you're aware. So wrong answer, John. Right. You're aware. Okay. There's never a time when the answer to that question is no. Okay. Are you aware? Okay, I'm aware. Everyone that's hearing this question is aware. So that's already going on. Okay, well, what color is that awareness? Is it yellow? And you know, we can be sitting with our eyes closed, or just, you know, right now, naturally with our eyes open. Is your awareness yellow? Is it purple? No, it doesn't have. I can think, I can be aware of a thought of a yellow something, or I can look in the room and see something yellow, see something purple. But the awareness itself has to be clear, colorless, to allow the experiences of all those colors. Is the awareness hot or cold? No, it's no temperature. Okay, this is someone, I don't see a name for you, but you just raised your hand.
Joe.
Joe.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here.
Yeah, good. Okay, you have a question or a comment?
Just, I sometimes feel like being still does play some part in what we are doing.
Oh yeah, that's why we're doing this right now. That's why we're, yes, being still, right? That's why we do take some time to do something that we call meditation, even though it turns out that essentially it consists of non-doing. But we have to take some time, sit down, close our eyes, be still, and do this not doing, right? We don't want to jump ahead of ourselves and say, oh, look, okay, awareness is the nature of awareness is always, it's open, it's free, that happens to be true. That's true. But it doesn't do us any good unless we are awake to the experience of that. We're always aware, but we have to, what grows is our being aware of being aware, our awareness of awareness, our awareness of the space-like, open, free, inherent nature of our awareness. So that's why absolutely, it's really, really my number one recommendation for anyone who's interested in recommendations is sit down every day. Sit down every day, be still. And usually we want to start with some kind of what I call on-ramp activity. Tonight we did filling up with air completely and then deep sigh. And there's other kinds of on-ramp activities we can do. That's, if in doubt, that's a great one. Do that a few times, and or you can rest your gaze on a spot in the room, or if you're at the beach, gaze at the ocean, something, and then just for maybe a minute or two of on-ramp activity, and then just sit with the eyes closed. Notice how things come and go. Notice that they're coming and going within this space that we call awareness. And rest as awareness, rest as this open sky within which everything comes and goes. That simple.
Right when you said tonight, right when you said we can only experience what's in the moment, I was just imagining myself biting into a bagel with peanut butter and bacon on it.
Peanut butter and bacon on a bagel.
I can almost taste it, Dean. I can almost taste it.
Yeah. We can imagine all kinds of things. I know some of the people on this call have been on long meditation retreats, as I have, for months at a time. And I was on a retreat once in a little mountaintop village in Switzerland, and this was Thion-sur-Sion, 1975. And they had us not only meditating around the clock, but fasting. All we had to eat was oranges.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason. And I remember sitting in the back of the lecture hall with we were like the bad boys in the back of the bus. We're sitting in the back and we were passing around fantasy menus. And mine always centered on lamb chops for some reason. So yeah, we can do that. But the point is that even if we're experiencing, this vivid fantasy of bagels and bacon or whatever it is, something that we consider pleasant, something we consider unpleasant, A, it's just a thought, and B, the thought is now. All experience is now. Okay.
It's not usual for me to have so many thoughts about food. I don't know if it has to do with what we're going through.
Yeah, who knows? So anything else about the meditation itself? Anything, Joe, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
So you can lower your hand. And anyone else with questions or comments about the meditation itself? I'm scanning through our list here. Esther, you have a comment?
She brought to mind something, and you brought to mind something as well. I'd forgotten. Years ago, when I was in South Africa, I was a yoga. I went to yoga a lot. And the teacher took us all on a hike into the mountains, into a place called Rustenburg. And we went to a place where there was a stream and boulders and all kinds of stuff. And I lay on a boulder, and before I knew it, I was gone in some kind of I don't know if it was a sleep or what it was, but it was very intense. And I had like a lesson that came to me about using the white light.
Mm-hmm.
And that night I had a dream about it, and I was given an entire lesson on how to use it. And I've used it since then for my own healing of things, by beaming, by condensing and beaming it to a spot. And that was because we were so intense that whole weekend, I think, that we were basically meditating the whole time, all of us. That's what we were there for, and we were applying it.
Right, right. So let me pick up on that. Couple of points. One thing is that sometimes, especially when you're in the situation you're describing, where you're doing extended meditation, some things can come along that we might feel to call, oh, this is a vision or a message or a teaching, and sometimes in time that proves to be something very positive and very useful, and sometimes it turns out to be just something that seemed, like when you have a dream and the dream seems so urgent and so important, and might be sometimes you dream you're in an argument with your friend and you're so wrapped up in it that when you wake up, you want to pick up the phone and continue the argument, and you takes a couple of minutes to get reoriented, and no, it was just a dream. So it is important to, just because something comes during meditation and seems very intense, we don't want to necessarily now start, basing our whole life on that. It sounds like in your case, the thing you're describing turned out to be something very positive. Great, but don't necessarily hold on to the stuff. Sometimes the stuff it'll turn out to be, we won't even remember it. Okay, so let me go on to Heather.
It's me.
Yeah, there you are.
I've had some chronic pain in my shoulder for some time now, months actually, and I've tried a lot of different things to take care of it. And when we started our meditation tonight, it was throbbing, and at some point it slipped away. Like I just noticed it was gone, and I was kind of like, well, where is it? but it's, to me, it's stunning. I mean, I didn't take any pills. I didn't do any.
Wow.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there, I got your healing right here. That's healing. Yeah. And I mean, it's to me, that's wonderful. And it's not surprising. I've over the years heard so many stories like that, but I want to point out to everyone the way you told that story, that during the meditation, it started to intensify, it started to throb, and that's very typical. So if during meditation, you feel throbbing, you feel heat, you feel cold, you feel sometimes, something might feel like all kinds of things, like vibration or like ants creeping under your skin, or, whatever. These can all be manifestations of healing that's taking place. And the healing, see, this is the kind of healing that I'm most interested in, is spontaneous healing. This is where my old teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, so I was on a long retreat with him, and someone talked about how, and we were, meditating wall to wall, all day long for months. And by the way, don't do this at home. That's only under supervision. But someone described some meditation where like his spine just went, and and all this tightness or scoliosis or whatever that he'd had for years just got straightened out. And Maharishi said, yes, it's the cosmic chiropractor. So we have the cosmic chiropractor. Sometimes we get the cosmic psychotherapist. We get the whole cosmic medical team sometimes helping to bring about this kind of spontaneous healing. So that's great stuff. It also brings up a very important point for the time that we're in now, which is that meditation, this hanging out, being, as Joe said before, being still. This being still is not a matter of trying to force our mind to stop thinking thoughts. We're clear on that. We're just resting in this open sky-like space of awareness within which the thoughts come and go and we don't much care about it. And as we do that, spontaneously, the body tends to settle down into a hypometabolic state. In other words, our whole metabolic engine starts to idle in a much cooler, quieter state. And that's when the body starts to spontaneously heal. Okay. And among other things, that strengthens the immune system. I'll say that again. That strengthens the immune system. This is always important, and it's extra important now. There's so much emphasis on, okay, good, wash your hands, great. Don't touch your face, great. Self-isolate, keep social distancing, great. We're doing all of that, and I hope everyone is doing that. But that's one side. That's like staying away from the germs, staying away from the virus. The other thing is having our system so strong that in case we're exposed to that virus and whatever the hell else is out there, our system is strong so that we're less susceptible to the stuff. And
that's what I want.
Yeah, that's what we all want. And there are certain activities that we know promote stronger immune system. One of them is meditation. Another one is singing. Another one is dancing. Another one is laughing. Okay? So, you know, especially right now, it's very easy to obsess, and, you know, we're watching, you know, news 20, you know, getting all the latest bulletins, and, you know, I've been a news junkie all my life. I understand that. But, you know, take some time to binge watch, you know, old Seinfeld episodes or whatever makes you laugh. All this stuff is, this stuff's important. This stuff's important. Good. What else? Let me hear from someone I've not heard from. Anne, is your hand up? No. Okay. Anyone else I have not heard? Diane, let me unmute you. I notice when I click on unmute, then it takes, there you go. Yes, Diane.
Yeah, no, well, it's interesting.
Diane, can you get I'm sorry, can you get a little closer to your mic or something? You're rather faint.
Yeah, can you hear better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so it was just interesting to me when we talk about, you know, the importance of being still, but it's sometimes a challenge to be still, because it's, you know, it's more than just obviously sitting and closing your eyes, you know, I find that sometimes it's not just the like the breathing that we did. It was your voice. It was the letting go of control in a sense. So of just, you know, kind of putting myself in your hands of like, you know, I can let go and relax now because you're walking me through what, you know, what to do. And that was for me more important than even than the breathing, to get to a place of just a profound sense of just being, and not, you know, not letting go of, you know, anxieties or whatever is going on now.
I'm the designated driver. And just having a designated driver, as you know, allows you, it gives you the freedom to just sit back in the passenger seat and know that you don't have to worry about if it's a red light or a green light. You know, and so one thing that you can do is if you go to my website, go to deanslider.com, and if you can't remember how to spell my wacky Dutch last name, just go to deanwords.com. It'll take you to the same place. And there are a number of there's a link on the homepage there, Meditate Now, and that'll take you to guided meditation, very similar to what we did here. Also, it'll link to the YouTube channel where I've got over a year's worth of sessions like this with the meditation, and the discussions are archived. So all that's available. So, you know, everyone, please feel free to use this stuff at home. And of course, if there's other teachers out there that you find you like the sound of their voice or you like whatever, then that's great, as long as you got someone driving. To switch metaphors, the designated driver, from designated driver, switch to the bicycle. In that sense, I'm the training wheels.
Okay.
Right. And so good. Sometimes, especially early in your meditation career, maybe you want to be pedaling along with, have the training wheels there all the time. And then you sometimes start getting rid of the training wheels. You know, I still occasionally, you know, I really like to sit and have one of my teachers guiding the meditation. I've also been known to tune into my own website and let me guide myself, which is kind of interesting. I go, God, everyone else does it. Why can't I? Yeah. So good. We're clear on that? Anything
Yeah,
else on
no,
that?
thank you. It's helpful because I've tried a variety of different meditations since my late teens.
Right.
And what I find is typically it makes me very anxious. So I've stopped, you know, the more like the TM and the more traditional forms of meditation. And what I have done more often is just, you know, either getting lost. I think it was Esther or someone was saying earlier about either painting or singing or another kind of, it's kind of a focused activity that you move yourself in. And that's, you know, that's been the best way for me to meditate.
Right.
But what we did tonight and what I've had a chance to do with you once before got me to a much deeper, not just level of calm, but a sense of, you know, letting go of the, you know, the letting the passing winds not, you know, knock me winding.
Right. Yeah. And so again, it's really great that we can, with some degree of clarity, tune into this place of just being, this core of our own being, that we can tune into it in the context of singing or painting or whatever. But there is something about tuning into it in the context of just sitting.
Yes.
There is a reason why the Buddha just sat under the tree. He didn't paint under the tree. You know, he didn't golf under the tree. And I know people who've told me, oh, I really find samadhi, I really tune into nirvana when I play golf. And I go, that's great. But, you know, when you're in the nursing home and you can't play golf anymore, and you know, we're all one stroke away, not one golf stroke, we're all one of the other kind of stroke away from that happening potentially. Then and we've all probably seen cases like this where, you know, it's so tragic, you know, wonderful, vital people who in the context of their singing or their golfing or their teaching school or whatever, they're so wonderful and tuned in and blissful. And then bam, you know, they have the stroke or whatever, and then they have no way of connecting with that. It's very sad. So you got to do the fire drill before the fire, and you know, and the fire comes sooner or later for all of us. Soon, you know, that we don't always like to acknowledge that, but that's the case, and if we pay attention to all the great sages, the Buddha, Jesus, the Al-Halaj, the Baal Shem Tov, all the great masters of enlightenment from all the different traditions. Notice that none of them seem to have a lot of anxiety about getting sick and dying. There's a reason why. You know, what is it that they know that we don't? And so I want to get on. I got one more. I want to. Anne has her hand up. So let me unmute Anne, and then I want to. I actually made a couple of notes to myself of things that I want to remember to talk about in the next 15 minutes before we wrap up. Yeah, Anne, what's up?
Hi.
Hi.
Well, I'm in Berkeley, California, and we are on, as the city says, well, the whole Bay Area is on lockdown.
Right.
But when I got an email from another meditation teacher today, Tara Brock, she said, no, just think of that you're all on retreat.
Yes.
I was like, this is very good.
Yes, I have that written in my notes. Exactly that.
So I am on retreat, and it probably will go through June. But I'm finding one of the benefits. I've been meditating for quite a while, and there's lots that I could be very anxious about right now.
Right.
My 93-year-old mother on the East Coast, my children in different places. One doesn't think she can get food, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can't change it.
Right.
The best thing that I can do is be peaceful and sane and loving, and that's, to me, what meditation does.
Yeah.
And I'm also a painter, but I can't get to my studio because I'm so, but back when I was able to paint, I would say that long time meditation has given to me a much better ability to concentrate on my work. Just watching other people kind of be very scattered or very chatty or kind of, to me, out of control. But meditation is very centering. And then when I move on to another activity, I can carry that centering over to the next activity.
Right.
So
and we tend to find it in this non-activity of meditation, and then more and more just it's not even a matter of I know what you mean when you say I find I can carry it into other activities. It's not, I just want to clarify, it's not a matter of, okay, now I'm going to take this thing and carry it here. It's just naturally, we more and more, we just find it percolating into all of our activities.
Exactly. And I think some of the breathing exercises that, I do all the time. I mean, there's a whole series of breathing exercises, and I'm not sitting in silence. I might be waiting to answer the phone and know that it's going to be not a good phone call. So I won't answer it on the first ring. I'll answer it on the fourth ring, and I'll do breathing exercises before I pick it up. That's carrying meditation into, the rest of your life. Anyways, I hope someday when I get unquarantined, I'll be able to come back to Santa Monica and meet you in person.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So and breathing, and and if in Anne's case, she's had formal training in particular breathing techniques. But even if you haven't, we all know how to do that. You've all done this all your life. There's that moment where you've got to try to make the big sales call or make the deal with the whatever, and you go, that's completely intuitive. So just don't forget to do that. Some of you have practiced with me the breathing through the feet. And that's particularly good when you're feeling that, like, you're all up here. What about this? What about that? And just imagine as you breathe in, you're breathing in through the soles of your feet. And we can all do this right now for a moment. As you breathe out, Breathing out through the soles of the feet. Breathing in through the soles of the feet. Breathing out through the soles of the feet. Breathing in through the soles of the feet. Breathing out through the soles of the feet. Done. Simple. Okay? You notice that the sound has some effect there. There's some quietening there. Yeah, that's good stuff. Let me see what I wanted to remember to talk about. Uncertainty. Yafa said this at dinner tonight. Gee, it's about uncertainty. People feeling so uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen next. Okay? Guess what? We never know what's going to happen next. Okay? We can maintain some semblance of, convincing ourselves we know what's going to happen next. We never really know. And then something like this comes along as, oh, right, we don't know. Oh, right, life is unpredictable. Oh, right, shit happens. One of my teachers, a Lama, Buddhist Lama I used to study with, once summed it all up. He said, shit happens, and if you don't learn how to let go of it, you wind up covered in shit. So uncertainty, as Anne, I think it was you said this a few minutes ago, knowing that we can't change it. It's the serenity prayer, right? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference. Some of you may have done some, real serious work with that prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. Now, the one problem with it is that there are some people who've been praying that stuff for years and they still don't get that serenity. Still don't get that courage, still don't get that wisdom, because to a certain degree, it's neurological. And that's why, as Joe said before, being still is important. Meditation is important. Allowing the nervous system to settle into this wakeful hypometabolic state where we're marinating in that stillness, that's where the serenity happens. It's not just an attitude, it's a neurological reality. Mm-hmm. So that's important. And then, uncertainty, where people will say things like, gee, I feel like I'm in a state of free fall. Yep. Yeah, we're always in a state of free fall. What I want to emphasize is the first half of that phrase, free fall, is free. Mm-hmm. It's freedom. It's freedom. Yafa and I, a few years ago, were on a retreat with Adyashanti, wonderful teacher some of you are familiar with. And this woman got up to the mic and was talking about how everything in her life is melting down. She'd lost her job, everything, and she'd had to, I think the punchline was, and I had to move to Bakersfield.
There you go.
And she said, and it's like, I don't know what's happening and I don't know who I am anymore. And Adya said, yeah, isn't it wonderful? And she said, well, it should be, but it's not. And so Adya said, okay, let me, he said, it's like when you fall out of an airplane without a parachute, the first time, he said, your tendency as you're falling is you go like this. He said, but now what if as you're doing that, you see another person falling and they're falling like this? Right? And what does this accomplish? He said the problem is not that that everything's changed in your life. He said the problem is you're grasping for things that aren't there anymore. You're grasping for something that you can't grasp. So, yeah, things are uncertain as they always are. Only sometimes we're forced to notice it with a little more clarity. And that's because our tendency is to look for permanence, to look for stability in that which is by its nature not permanent, not stable. That is all the stuff out here. The only thing that's permanent, the only thing that's stable is the sky, not the clouds and the breezes blowing through the sky. And most people, because they've not been sitting down regularly, getting the experiential dose of the sky-like nature of awareness, they're trying to build their life out of clouds. Right? The nature of clouds is to be impermanent. The nature of clouds is to be passing. And it's when stuff like this comes along that we're forced to recognize it. That's why, you know, traditionally, most people, for them to get serious about the Dharma path, the path of awakening, it doesn't happen for most people until some kind of shit hits the fan. You know, often it's a personal crisis, it's an illness, the death of a loved one, a career crisis, midlife, some kind of crisis. Now, in this case, it's a worldwide crisis. So we may, I don't know, we'll see, maybe next time we'll have a lot more friends joining us here as people go, the clouds, the clouds are moving. At the same time, you know, there are unexpected consequences always of whatever's going on. I read tonight in one of the you know, dozens of articles that I read today, that it's starting to be measurable, it's starting to be noticed that now with people all going into quarantine and, you know, the economy slowing down and everything, that a pollution of the atmosphere is starting to become less. Isn't that interesting? You know, maybe a whole other perspective on this stuff is the planet was going, wait a minute, guys, you're screwing up the atmosphere. You're creating this climate crisis that's going to be irreversible very soon. Maybe Mother Earth has got to throw a few germs in here to make you change your tune. Who knows? Who knows? And of course, the other unexpected, perhaps, consequence that we're starting to see in beautiful ways already is people's compassion, people's kindness, people's intelligence and creativity starting to come out. I want to read to you before we sign off in this regard. This is a poem that was posted on Facebook. It was written a couple of days ago by someone named Lynn Unger. I have no idea, I know nothing about her. But the poem is titled Pandemic. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. Right? All right. The experiences that make us grow, if you think back, on your life thus far, to the experiences that have made you grow in the most important ways, the things that have happened in your life that have been most important for your opening up as a person. How many of them were things that you would have chosen? Probably not many, right? So here we're getting this big thing that none of us would have chosen. And, you know, who knows what kind of growth, opening, awakening is going to come from it. So we can all be ready for that. We can all be open to that. We can all not assume that this whole thing is a big bummer. You know, I'm convinced there's no accidents. I'm convinced that that whatever happens is unfolding lawfully, is unfolding in accord with the laws of the universe. None of it, to put it simply, none of it is a mistake. When we're just looking at it close up, not the big picture, it can look, how can this possibly not be a mistake? But the bigger the picture becomes, the more it's, oh yeah, this is all unfolding in a way that we would not have chosen, but it turns out to be beautiful, and it turns out to be awakening. And one more thought, which I think I sent out in my newsletter the other night, but I never get tired of saying this, from Shantideva, the great 8th century Buddhist sage. If there's a solution to the problem, what's the point of worrying? If there's no solution to the problem, what's the point of worrying? Okay? Okay, so as I think you all know, I'm going to be doing another session like this on Thursday, 2 days from now, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, which will be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm doing that. I'm experimenting with that time slot to make it more user-friendly for our friends in the eastern part of the country. But you know, feel free to tune in from wherever you are. And then, you know, what I've been doing in the past with our live sessions here in the house up till now is every other Tuesday night. Let me ask you this quickly before we go. Does it feel like the time calls for doing this more often? Should we be doing this every week? Yeah, I'm seeing thumbs up. Okay, great, thank you. So I think my intention will be, I'll keep doing this maybe every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Yafa's just given me the thumbs up, and she gets 51% vote. So we'll continue with that, and I hope to see you. And feel free, you know, share the link for this with friends. You know, this is always open to everyone, and keep in touch. Keep in touch. And if anything comes up in between, you know, always feel free to email me if this, yeah, but yeah, what about this? What about that in your practice? If with your insight, anytime you feel there's some way that I can be, you know, helpful with that, never hesitate to be in touch. Okay? Because otherwise I'm just sitting around. Okay? So I want to finish. I'm going to mute you all because I have discovered that. So we're gonna close with a little prayer that some of you are familiar with. This is the best prayer that I know, and what it means is, may all beings everywhere be happy, and thus may peace come to prevail everywhere, spontaneously throughout the world and all possible worlds. And the Sanskrit for it. So feel free, now that you're muted, you can feel free to sing along. Because if we do this and you're unmuted, it becomes weird because of the latency lag. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, one and all. Enjoy being.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.